What's up guys, it's James from CopLogic, welcome back to the channel. It's been pretty quiet on the transfer front today from Liverpool and yesterday to be fair, but that might not be a bad thing. Liverpool haven't exactly been doing well when they've been loud in the market. But let's take a look at the only real news to come out of today, and this comes from Fabrizio Romano simply saying that Liverpool are still following Manu Koné and Khéphren THURAM. So you can kind of read into this what you like, whether this is a strong vested interest or whether he's really just talking about the fact that we were linked to them earlier in the window, which we obviously all already know at this point. But I do want to stress that neither of these are a bad option. Let's not forget that we were all excited to bring the pair of these players in at the start of the window, and there's no reason that should have changed. They're both two great players, both young, both versatile, and both capable of being in this side for a very long time and being developed under Jurgen Klopp. There is absolutely no downside to either of these players. I personally think Khéphren THURAM looks like an absolute beast. Decent price range on the both of them. It's going to be around 40 to 45 million, I would say. So definitely affordable options for Liverpool, but whether or not we'd go back and look at them again, I don't know. It's kind of similar to the whole Lavia situation. We had personal terms agreed with both of these players at the start of the window and ended up walking away from the pair of them. We walked away from Khéphren THURAM because we went in for Dominic Szoboszlai instead, and we walked away from Manu Koné simply because he got injured during the under-21 Euros. Now, Fabrizio Romano did confirm today that Manu Koné is back in training, so that injury period is over, and that would potentially make him available again as a target that Liverpool could be looking at. The one thing I'd say about Khéphren THURAM and Manu Koné, though, is that neither of them are out-and-out defensive midfielders. Whilst both of them can play in midfield, it's not their main positions, but they are both versatile players. Klopp is a specialist as a developmental manager. We've seen him change players' roles before. For example, most recently Cody Gakpo, he turned him from a left winger into a centre forward false nine. So it's not impossible that Jurgen Klopp could take these players and turn him into a defensive midfielder. I think personally Khéphren THURAM has all the traits to become a great defensive midfielder, but it's not even necessary when you think about it. If all they were doing was filling in a role and being used to rotate through that defensive midfield option whilst we wait for a specialist DM to become available on the market, it's not that bad of an option. We would of course rather bring in a specialist DM, but it's whether or not one is available within Liverpool's means at this moment in time. We know, for example, we've been linked to Benfica's Florentino Luis, and we also know Fluminense's Andre is another link that we've had. Now we know Andre's not going to be available till January. Florentino Luis, I just want to say on him, there's been a few links today. I'm pretty sure it started as a parody, but people have kind of ran with it that he started following Liverpool on Instagram today, and that might be potentially a link. That's definitely not true. He didn't start following Liverpool on Instagram today, so you can ignore that link. I'm not saying that the links between us and the player are false, but that particular story from this morning is false. In terms of Florentino Luis, while we're on him, although he would be absolutely ideal for Liverpool in this moment, he's a specialist DM. We could bring him in. He's exactly what we need. The problem with him is he has a huge release clause. It's over 100 million, and I just don't think Liverpool would pay that. Yes, they were willing to put down 110 million on Moises Caicedo. That's a little bit different. He's Premier League proven. He's got more experience. I can't see Liverpool paying over 100 million for Florentino Luis. That release clause is in there to protect Benfica more than anything. Now, I don't think we'd have to. We could definitely go to the table and negotiate with them. It would make negotiation difficult because they've got the safety of that release clause, and also we apparently suck at negotiating. If you actually take a look at Liverpool's transfer window, we've done no negotiating. Well, we've tried, but we've failed every single time. The two players we brought in, Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai, we brought them in on release clauses. When you look at the negotiations that we've attempted, Moises Caicedo and Lavia, we've failed. So it's fair to say Jörg Schmatke has been an absolute failure of an experiment. Fortunately, he's going at the end of this window. He was only temporary anyway. We knew when he was coming in, he was going to be loud. People described him as doing transfer poker. Well, it's definitely not worked. It's been a catastrophic failure on all accounts, but there is time to turn it around. There's time to go back into the market and pick some of these players up. I personally can't see Florentino Luis happening because the negotiations would be difficult. I think the price would be higher than Liverpool would be willing to pay, and they're certainly not going to activate that release clause at the price that it is. That brings me back round to the examples of Manu Koné and Khéphren THURAM. Let's say we got one or even both of those players. They are versatile. They can both play a DM. Although they don't specialize there, they can do it. Now, as I mentioned, Klopp could be that developmental manager and change their position, or even if you just look at it like this, we've got Stefan Bajcetic coming back from injury soon. We already know Curtis Jones can play in that 6th role. We've been playing him there pre-season. We've been playing him there even against Chelsea in the second half. Alexis McAllister can play in that 6th role. Again, we played him there against Chelsea and in pre-season. And if we brought in the likes of a Manu Koné or a Khéphren THURAM, for example, they would also be in that similar boat where they can rotate through the 6. Now, I personally think with Stefan Bajcetic, Curtis Jones, Khéphren THURAM, let's let's say, and Alexis McAllister. There's enough bodies there to rotate through that 6th position and keep us going until January. And when the January transfer window comes around, then we can potentially move on Andre from Fluminense, unless any other targets pop up in the meantime. I personally think that's a good route. Andre is exactly the kind of player we're looking for, specialist DM, affordable under Liverpool's prices, and unfortunately right now he's just not available. They're just not willing to sell him because of they're right in the middle of their season. But their season ends in December, so he would be available for the January window. And if we could get someone like Khéphren, THURAM or Manu Koné, or even both of them in this window, they can rotate through that 6th role, and then come January we bring in a specialist DM, and those players become very, very versatile options that can go anywhere across that midfield 3. So I do think it's a possibility that we bring one of these players in still. It's just a little bit embarrassing that we're going back on ourselves and going back to contacts that we already dropped in favor of different signings and whatever. It's very similar to the Lavia situation. I don't like it, but it's a situation we put ourselves in. The transfer window has been abysmal for Liverpool Football Club. The recruitment staff has been awful. I think one key thing we need to do, and we need to do soon, is sort some of the staff out in that recruitment section of Liverpool Football Club, and that's going to start with Jörg Schmake. He was only short term anyway, he's going. Whoever comes in long term though, we need a project, we need staff around him that are capable, because the ones there right now clearly are not. And you've got to start asking questions about why Michael Edwards left and why Julian Ward left so quickly afterwards as well. Is there something going on behind closed doors that we don't know about at Liverpool? Whatever it is, it needs sorting, and it needs sorting fast. But the primary thing is we bring in the players that we need. Now, as I've said, Khéphren, THURAM, Manu Koné, it could be an option that sees us over till January, and then we can bring in that specialist DM that we need. In terms of the centre-back situation, we've really not seen any strong links since this week after the catastrophic failures of last week. We've seen no new links in terms of centre-back, so I'm not sure really what's happening there. But what I will say is the silence that's going on this week, it could be a good sign. It could equally be a bad sign. It could just be that we're not really doing anything in the market, but it could be a sign that Liverpool have decided to go back to doing business the way they used to do business, the way they were best at doing business, and that was keeping things quiet and just dropping bombs. Similarly, to be fair, with what happened with Dominic Szoboszlai in this window, and similar to what we did with Cody Gakpo even previously, Liverpool work better when they keep things under wraps. We're gonna know very soon, of course, because time is running out. Make sure you sub to the channel if you want to be up to date on all the information in regards to this transfer window. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and as always, we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.